Good pictures, Kyle.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mighty Blaze. Girls, pay attention. I'm Jenna Blum. I'm the co-founder of The Blaze. And for those of you who are coming back to our baking show, welcome back. For those of you who are just joining us, a little bit of information about The Blaze. We are a team of 35 as of a couple weeks ago, creative volunteers dedicated to connecting writers and readers in the age of COVID and beyond. And today I'm very excited to introduce Rachel Levy-Lesser, who is going to be talking with our special guest, Zibby Owens of Moms Don't Have Time To, and Stefanie Owens of Nene's Treats. And we're going to be making a delicious crumb cake, y'all. But first, a little pitch for The Blaze. If you like what you see here, please give us a like or a follow on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We are ubiquitous on YouTube. Please consider signing up for our newsletter, which is at www.amightyblaze.com, so that you'll never again have literary FOMO, because we will keep you in the know. Rach, beautiful tulips you have behind you.
Yes, my friend just gave them to me yesterday, so I thought they'd be perfect for the show. My neighbor, actually. This is one of the neighbors that I bring baked goods to.
Oh, yeah. I'm still waiting for my neighbors to reciprocate for all the baked goods I bring them after the show. I'm like, come on, bitches, where are you even? But those are so beautiful for Mother's Day, and today is our Mother's Day special. So I'm going to introduce Rach, and then she's going to take it away. Rachel Levy-Lesser is the author of Life's Accessories, a memoir and fashion guide. Her work has appeared in the Huffington Post, Glamour, Parenting, Modern Loss, Queller, and several anthologies. Rach is a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania and the University of Michigan Business School. In her previous life as a marketing professional, she worked on the business side of Time Inc. on magazines including InStyle, People, and Real Simple. When she's not writing, Rach can be found baking, of course, and supplying the whole Blaze team. So thank you so much for doing that. And I am just so excited for you to introduce Zibby and Stefanie today.
Thanks, Jenna. I'm so happy you guys are all here. Thanks for that lovely introduction. I'm going to formally introduce Zibby and Steph. As I said, I'm into the nicknames. I'm the Rach, Steph's the Steph, Zibby can be Zibs, right? Well, Zibby's a nickname in itself. So I'm going to read their bios. We're going to introduce them, and we're going to get baking on this special show. I'm going to put on my glasses here for this. So Zibby Owens, who some of you may know or know of, is often called the patron saint of books and the great connector. Zibby is the creator and host of the award-winning podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Zibby was named New York City's most powerful bookfluencer by New York Magazine's Vulture. She conducts warm, inquisitive conversations with authors, making her show a top literary podcast as selected by Oprah.com in 2019 and 2020. She also created the Moms Don't Have Time to Lose Weight community and hosts the accompanying podcast. Zibby's the editor-in-chief of Moms Don't Have Time to Write, a Medium.com publication. And most recently, she released an anthology, Moms Don't Have Time To, a quarantine anthology. Before the pandemic, Zibby ran a literary salon, hosted her own book fairs, and was a frequent bookstore event moderator. During the quarantine, Zibby hosted a daily Instagram Live, author talk show ZIGTV, a weekly live show with her husband, KZ Time, launched an online magazine with original author-written essays called We Found Time, and started Zibby's virtual book club. Zibby's a regular contributor to Good Morning America and has recommended books in the Washington Post, Real Simple, and other outlets. She's contributed to Parents, Marie Claire, Redbook, and the New York Times Online, among many other publications. She's appeared on Good Morning America, CBS This Morning, the BBC, and many local news outlets. And she currently has a 2-book deal for children's books with Flamingo, an imprint of Penguin Random House, and another upcoming anthology with Skyhorse Publishing, Moms Don't Have Time to Have Kids, which I think is the greatest title ever. And that will be out in November. Zibby serves on the boards of the Mount Sinai Health System, the Mount Sinai Parenting Center, the Child Mind Institute, and co-chairs the Library Council of the New York Public Library. A graduate of Yale University and Harvard Business School, Zibby currently lives in New York with her husband, Kyle Owens, Stefanie's brother, of Morning Moon Productions, and her 4 children, ages 6 to 13. She always has a book nearby. So this is just amazing, all the stuff you do and you've done and continue, Zibby. And I would say on a personal note, I feel like I've gotten to know you over the years through all this work, and you've been so generous to me and hundreds of other authors by having me on your podcast, pre-COVID, having me in your home for an author event. I've written for your Medium site and for the anthology. And so I'm just one of the many Zibby contributors, fans. And so why Zibby does all this work, it's really all, and I think she would say this too, to promote authors and books, a lot like we do at The Blaze. So definitely friend of The Blaze. We're a friend of the pod. It's all good. I'm so happy to have you here. And I feel like over the years, I've gotten to know Steph through some of your work and your social media posts. And I want to introduce Stefanie. So Stefanie Owens is the co-founder and CEO of Nene's Treats, a wholesale bakery business, which she started with her late grandmother, Nene, and her mother, Susan, in their home kitchen. Today, Nene's Treats, in collaboration with Goldbelly, is supplying scrumptious preservative-free baked goods throughout America. In loving memory, Goldbelly and Nene's Treats gives a portion of their proceeds to the Susan Felice Owens Program for COVID-19 vaccine research at Mount Sinai Health System, in honor of Stefanie's mother, Susan Owens, and her grandmother, Marie Felice, who both passed away from COVID in the summer of 2020. Stefanie now runs the business and focuses her attention on the development of new crumb cakes beyond the original, the black and white version, and also one of the most popular birthday crumb cake, which I think sounds amazing, and I want that recipe. In her free time, Stefanie can be found in horse stables with her companion, Luna, a rescue shepherd mix, where she rides and instructs others. So welcome, Stefanie. Welcome, Zibby. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. That was such a nice introduction.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Love it.
I need to shorten my bio, clearly, is what I've taken away from this introduction.
You know, Zibby, it's funny. I read it and I was like, I am not shortening that. I love it all, and it's all a part of who you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Rach, I've had so much fun getting to know you through this too. And it's just like we were talking earlier about all the times that you've like written about your mom and all this stuff. And I feel like she has now become someone I feel I also know through your social media. And I think like that's something that today's world can really do well, is keep the memory alive of people that we love. So
it's a great connection.
Yeah, for sure. And I can remember some moments where I was sitting in your recording studio or on your sofa, and some of the things you said to me, which stick with me. And when, I followed the story of Susan and Felice, Nene, Stefanie's mom and grandma last summer, as I think many of you watching have. And so I actually first reached out to Stefanie to sort of send her the email that I've sent to other people, unfortunately, who've lost mothers too young. And Jenna knows this as well, just about kind of what I've learned along the way. And everyone kind of goes through their own grief story. And we were just talking about this a little bit offline, while we're here baking crumb cake, and that's really fun. It's also a week out from Mother's Day, and Mother's Day can be a tough holiday for, kids who've lost mothers who've lost children, just, anyone missing someone. And so we do want to talk about that. And we want to talk about Nene and Susan, and also the amazing stuff that you guys have done to kind of find a positive out of something so horrible, with the vaccine research you're doing at Mount Sinai, and the proceeds from Zibby's book that go towards that, as well as the proceeds from ordering on Goldbelly. So it's all very connected, and we could talk about this forever, but we're going to do that as we bake, right, Jenna?
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Like baking as healing today. And Nene, I'm sorry, Stefanie, I said Nene and not Nene. Is that wrong? I pronounced everything wrong.
It's Nene. Yes.
It's Nene. Yeah. Our most faithful followers, Anissa, said that her nieces call her Nene because they couldn't say Anissa when they were young. She actually had to correct me on the pronunciation of her name as well. And Anissa is on like all our events. So hi, Anissa, shout out. But yeah, so Zibby, I was actually thinking, I don't think you need to shorten your bio. I just think, how do you do all the things that you do? So maybe while Rach is getting us started on making this delicious healing crumb cake, like I know we talked a little bit about this on a previous Blaze show, but I still am like, okay, I know you don't procrastinate, check, trying to do that. You have to do this, but like, how do you do it all?
I don't really know. And also, since that bio, I haven't even like updated it for the new brand extensions I've gone into. Like
I was thinking that. I was going to write them in.
I started these retreats, so moms don't have time to travel, and I started another podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Have Sex. And I started these communities. Moms don't have time to grieve, and moms don't have time to travel. And I have like a memoir project in the works. I don't know how I'm doing it. I am not sleeping very much. How am I don't know. I'm stressed a lot.
You're so in it now. It's great.
Yeah.
You're just going for it.
I just, I don't know. I am just really busy all the time doing something, trying to like, plow through my inbox or, I don't know. All I can say is I keep like shifting what I'm doing. So like today I was on the trampoline with my kids for 45 minutes, but like that is all I was doing for those 45 minutes. Like I wasn't checking email, and then I went in and then I like recorded my audiobook, and now I'm doing this, and then I'm doing a podcast, and then I'm going to like do something fun with the kids. And I don't know. I'm just doing my best. I'm probably making just so many mistakes all the time, but every day I just try to figure out how to get it done.
Wait, speaking of doing stuff, as I said, I'm going to keep it. We're going to do the first step to the baking. Sorry. I feel like I'm
so funny. Can you read the comments too, you guys, when they come in?
Everyone can see them on the screen. But yeah, world domination is coming soon for Zibby.
That's really funny.
Yeah. By the way, when I was reading about moms don't have time to lose weight, I was like, we're taking the day off for moms don't have time to lose weight because we're making crumb cake, which has a lot of butter in it.
I know.
And that's okay.
Kyle thought it would be funny if I had my Mom's No Time to Lose Weight t-shirt on with her Nene's t-shirt, but I don't have it with me. So.
By the way, my eating habits were validated a couple weeks ago when we had Joanne Chang of Flour Bakery in Boston on the show. She admitted that she kind of goes throughout her day visiting all her Boston bakeries, and she eats sweets all day. She doesn't eat real food till dinner time. And she's in great shape. That's basically the way that I eat. So whatever works.
Yeah. It works. I love it.
We're gonna do the dry ingredients first, and this is Nene's recipe developed in her home kitchen. For the dry ingredients, all we're adding is 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And the recipe was on all of our social media channels, and you guys can access it, or we'll email it out later. So I'm gonna do the dry ingredients.
So while you're doing this, I always have the nosy baking questions on the show. So Stefanie, can you tell me a little bit about like the whole baking journey? Like, what is your favorite thing to bake? How did you get started? Let's start with how you got started. Let's start at the beginning.
So actually how we got started was when my mom and I moved to Charleston, South Carolina. We started baking for a lot of local cafes in the area. And we used to do everything from cookies, scones, muffins, cakes. And the crumb cake was, of course, always on the menu of what we offered. And people just couldn't get enough of it. They always just, wanted more, and that would sell out. And, after a while, we both looked at each other and were like, okay, how can we just make this crumb cake the star of the show and kind of rearrange and kind of get it out to more people that might love it. And, with some brainstorming with Zibby and my brother, we came up with Nene's Treats, and we just started packaging the crumb cake. And then it just kind of took off where we partnered with Goldbelly, and they've been so wonderful to work with. And it just kind of took off from there. And now everybody nationwide gets to enjoy our crumb cake. So so it started basically from just being in a shared kitchen, baking away. And then the crumb cake just really took over, and that's how it started. But, and then we just kind of worked with, different flavors and how can we experiment with, like the chocolate and the sprinkle one that we call the birthday. And so it's just fun to be able to, experiment like that and make it into, take the original and then make it into something a little bit more grand. So
that's great. Can you mention Goldbelly? Can you show us the cute packaging that it comes in?
Yes. So this is what the customer would be receiving. So it's 8 by 8. It's a pound of crumb topping, a pound of cake, and it's all wrapped, and it comes in this nice little box with this cute little card with Nene's picture on it. I don't know if you can see that well.
Yeah.
And there you go. And so that's how it arrives right to your front door. And Yeah.
So we were just saying, great gift for Mother's Day. I mean, what mom would not love a crumb cake that you could use for brunch? Or, you know, I feel like we never know what to send to my mother-in-law. So I think that's a really good idea.
It's been on many brunch tables for sure. So it's a great item for that. And goes, you know, crumb cake and coffee. How can you?
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm having my coffee here, and my Moms Don't Have Time to mug, which I use.
Thank you.
I'm branded with my Blaze.
I love it.
Moms Don't Have Time to. So the dry ingredients are together. It's the other thing I love about this recipe too. It's delicious and it tastes so great, but the ingredients are very sort of traditional and everything that you would almost already have in your pantry or your fridge, right? There's nothing crazy. There's no one crazy ingredient in here, which is
nice. And that's what keeps it so good. It's just those pure, simple ingredients. So, you know, you can't go wrong with butter and sour cream and just, you know, pure natural ingredients, no fillers and nothing like that. So
it's really good. I know it's salted butter. It's salted butter, which adds a little kick to it.
Yeah, that's always a little bit different. And that's our, you know, kind of gotta stand apart a little bit and make it a little, different. I'm going to start with whatever Nene said. So that's what we did.
Yeah. I'm going to do the wet ingredients, which is sort of separated on the card. So for that part, we're going to do the 1/2 cup of salted butter, a cup of sugar, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1.5 cups of sour cream. So that's going in a separate bowl in my electric mixer, which I said has become the star of the show. It's never gotten so much use in its life. So I'm going to do that for a second. And if you guys are baking at home, obviously come on and follow along.
So great. I'm trying to show off my mixer also, which I got for myself for holidays, but then I've been using it a lot for the show, which is amazing. And ever since we started doing the show, every Saturday, my neighbors are like, ding, ding, ding. Are you guys doing baking show? What are you making? And I have like a bachelor neighbor on the upstairs apartment of my building, and I leave him like treats on the banister every time we do a show. So he is so excited about crumb cake. I was like, who wants crumb cake? And everybody's like, who doesn't want crumb cake? Like, what a dumb question. So I was really thrilled. I made the cake yesterday so I could practice in case it went drastically wrong, I could eat it. And I was really thrilled that it had sour cream because like I have a great love of sour cream and I have a sour cream life otherwise. Like I tend to use like Greek yogurt instead of sour cream and try to be something healthy and obnoxious. And it was so nice to actually cook with like, you know, old school ingredients. You ever like sub in anything to like the obnoxious healthy person?
Not for the crumb cake. The crumb cake can't be touched. That's Nene's rules.
Okay.
That is what it is. For the other stuff that we used to bake, yes, we used to do a lot of, you know, tweaking for customers and things like that. But for the crumb cake, once, you know, it's such a kind of, you know, item where it's just, you know, you just have that cheat day and dig in.
Right. I mean, like, who wants crumb cake? That is like an oxymoron. And we did have this great question from Samantha from Moms and Grandmas Who Live Alone. Can you freeze a portion if you don't eat the whole cake right away?
Yes, you can actually, when you get it delivered to you, you can have the option of putting it right into your freezer and taking it out when you're ready to serve, or cut it in half and wrap it and put it back in your freezer. It freezes great and it defrosts wonderful, and it's like brand new once it comes out of the freezer. So
it's actually shipped. Is it still shipped?
Yeah, it ships frozen too, so it just, you know, holds up well. And so that's definitely an option, and a lot of people do that because, especially if you're just by yourself, it is a lot to to try to consume.
You used to make these amazing minis. There used to be these little minis, which were, for people who have no control like me, were more useful. But if you can open the whole box and not eat it, you can freeze it.
Yes.
I dare you to try to do that.
My neighbors are getting nothing now because I'm going to put it like directly into the freezer, or like the whole part that I don't actually eat. But it's really hard not to eat it. And here's a question. Do you guys eat the crumb off the top of the cake? Do you make extra crumb to eat the crumb? Like the crumble part is like so delicious.
Yeah, there was actually a time that we had a few customers privately message us and just asking for the crumb topping, and we would send it off to them. And
like a muffin top.
Yeah.
Oh, like a muffin top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That bag you were gonna make. They were gonna make this whole just the crumbs.
Yeah, we had just the crumbs, we called it, and we would kind of scatter the crumb topping on a cookie tray and bake it off, and it would almost be like kind of like a cookie form. And
can't even.
so look out for that. That might be coming out soon.
I'm wondering what Nene thought of sort of the whole business and growing the business. And I'm wondering what she would think right now of us sort of having a TV show about her recipe and sharing the recipe, which I don't know, did she kind of want to keep the recipe secret, or like, what do you think she'd think of all this?
I think about that sometimes, that part of it, but about, you know,
I know. But you know what? It's still better when you buy it from Gold Belly and remember Nene and all that stuff.
Nene had some special techniques with the cake and how she mixed it and different little tips and tricks. And we were lucky enough to, you know, pass that along, and she passed it along to, you know, myself and my mother, and, you know, to be able to bake it. Just, you know, she had such a, you know, knack for it to, you know, to make it just so good. But no, she was always so thrilled. You know, she was born in a time, obviously, you know, in the 30s, and then to see herself like on social media and her photo, and she's like, doesn't even know how this happened and how does, you know, yeah, my God, she was, yeah. Then she was written up in the New York Times at one point, and she just was so over the moon about all of it. She loved it.
I remember when we showed her the website when we first launched the Nene Streets website. We were in where were we in the Hilton Bed? I don't know, someplace. Anyway, Kiowa. We put it on in like someone's apartment, and she's like, "Oh, that's me on there! Like, I do that. Look at that. Well, will you look at that?" I can't do Nene's
She
voice.
just is so like innocent towards it all, because, you know, it was all just so new to her. But she loved it. Always so thrilled.
That's great. Yeah.
Rach, can I ask about the proceeds, or do we need to do a little baking?
You can ask about the proceeds.
Okay.
We're good. We're good on time. I'm just going to show you guys, by the way, because I think you guys, if at home baking, I have my dry ingredients and the wet ingredients are blended really nicely in here. So as a heads up, the next step is we combine them all together. It's really, I mean, it's not that hard to make. I mean, it's your basic stuff, but it's amazing the way it comes out. Yeah. So definitely go ahead and ask about the proceeds.
Wait, back to the New York Times thing for 2 seconds, because after it was in the New York Times and after it was like written up in Quest, do you remember that? Mm-hmm. They got so many orders, and this is before they had a co-packer, that Stefanie and her mom baked for how many days? Like they baked nonstop, like hundreds and hundreds of cakes. They didn't sleep. Yeah. They like, and so the fact that it doesn't take that long per cake is what I think enabled them to make so many. It was insane.
They were doing this in their home kitchens. Were they doing it just?
We had at that time a shared commercial kitchen, but it was basically like having a home kitchen where you just have like one table that was yours and one oven that was yours.
So they were baking like 24/7.
But yeah, we did not sit down. We did not sleep for like, I think it was like 3-4 days in a row. We just were like nonstop going for it. But it was all worth it, you know, once you're in it, just like you, like, you know, when you find your passion and your spark and you're just like in it, who needs to sleep? You know? Just go.
No way.
So
yeah. No, I want to hear about the proceeds. Can we talk about the vaccine program?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, after everything that happened this summer, we were trying to find a way to spare other families the trauma of having to go through what Stefanie and Kyle and everybody went through with Susan being in the hospital for 6 weeks and just like that, losing Nene and Susan and everything. So we wanted to give back in some way and, you know, do our part. At that time, there was no vaccine or anything. If you remember all the way back then. So I'm on the board of Mount Sinai, and I have been for some time, and thought, well, maybe we can contribute and like make some fund so that people can donate money and help find a vaccine. So I decided to donate all the proceeds of my book there, and also my next book that's coming out. And Stefanie's donating part of the Nene Streets there. And they're doing such great work, and I'm really excited about it. So it's called the Susan Felice Owens Program for COVID-19 Vaccine Research. And there are 2 amazing scientists, and all their animal trials have been super successful. And now they're in human trials for this 1-dose vaccine administered through the nose and doesn't have to be stored at really cold temperatures. And so it's a great candidate for third world nations where you don't have to freeze it or anything like that. So it's been written up now in a couple different articles and then the Times and all of this, and it's really like going forward. So, you know, hopefully it can get out there, and that would just be so amazing, especially because Susan was like the most giving back, like thoughtful person ever. It just would give you the shirt off her back type of woman. And so I think, you know, the whole time she was in the hospital, she couldn't wait to like get out and share and be like, I can't, you know, I want to tell you guys what's going on in here, and people have to know, and, you know, we can't let this keep happening to people and whatever. So at least we're doing something to honor that.
Yes.
I love this. And many of us have been following your journey, like through Zibby, especially just what has been happening to your enjoined family. And I would love to ask more about that at the risk of like probing, you know, I don't want to probe uncomfortably, but I would love for our viewers to know who don't know the story. But first, just a quick practical question, which is from Samantha, our marketer. Clearly, when you ship the cake with the Gold Belly box, is there a card that says, hey, what you just bought benefits this amazing fund?
Right now, right on the website, if you go on to Goldbelly, and there's a section right after, I think you log into the original crumb cake, it will have the info right under there.
But it's not in the box yet.
No, it's not in the box yet. This is, you know, a little bit of a new thing. And so we're, you know, we got it up on the website, and then probably the next step will be doing that. But we've been posting all about it and just trying to get the word out there through social media and all that. And so it's obviously very important to us.
Awesome. We are honored to help you with that. And there are like so many moving pieces going on here. There's like the actual physical baking. And that story to me sounds like a Guy Raz like success story, where it's like, oh, I just baked this thing in my kitchen at home, and all of a sudden everybody loved it. So then we had to level up, which is exciting and enervating and exhausting. It's beautiful. Yay, she's back. We knew you would come back. We know you were just eating cake in the corner.
That has never happened before. I think there's some work going on back in our house, but I'm sorry. I missed like such an important part, but luckily I know the story. I hope you guys all got to hear the amazing.
No, I didn't even get to the story part yet, because I was asking nosy questions about like how they put all these things together. But I'm thinking that like there's the baking part, and then there's the family part, and then there's also like the business part. And I feel as though, I mean, just from doing this, I'm sure Zibby feels the same from doing the Blaze. There's so many good ideas that you're trying to build into the rocket while you're flying the rocket, and you're like, oh, we should like, you know, shrink wrap our whole boxes saying proceeds go to. But we're just amazed by how much you've done in such a short time. So is it too much for me to ask that you share the story about what happened with your family, so that readers and viewers get like a really good idea of like who these women are behind you and behind Nene's Treats? It's really important. Like Susan's so vital and vibrant to me in the descriptions.
Yes, they were, you know, women that just love life and love family. And, you know, I think too, that's kind of what the whole baking journey was for us too, is just, you know, it's to bring people together and to have this crumb cake on the table, and to, you know, her memory will live on, Nene, and also, you know, now my mother. And, you know, then it turned into, you know, once Nene did get sick, and unfortunately my mom got, you know, it from Nene taking care of her. And, you know, ironically enough, my mom was always a caregiver, and that was, you know, something that was always very important to her. And just not knowing it led into her, you know, getting the virus. And, you know, she was able to obviously try to manage it for a while in her house. And then it kind of just took over and got worse with her breathing. And, you know, and throughout the whole time that she was in the hospital, the first part of it, she was, you know, still very hopeful and had an attitude of, you know, I'm getting out of here. And, you know, she was still doing business. I found out later on, like all the business stuff she was still doing.
Like, in the hospital?
I'm like, oh, okay. Getting this stuff done. And, you know, her thing too was obviously to set up a lot for me and to make things as smooth and easy for me. And then unfortunately things did take a turn, and, you know, then it just was, we joined forces of Zibby and my brother, and, you know, did everything that we could to, you know, try to get her well, but it just wasn't happening. And that's why we really want everybody to know how serious, this virus is. And it's no joke when it happens and when it invades your family. So it really just, took over. But, she would be very, very proud to know that she has this foundation and we're getting the word out there. And that's, the type of person she was. And same with Nene. And so, yeah.
And the thing about, just a couple of things.
Yeah.
It's so hard to talk about. So Susan had no health issues is the thing. Like, at the beginning, we were like, why don't you guys come quarantine up here? And they're like, no, we've got the dogs and we're fine. And they were fine. Like, she was off, like, riding a motorcycle and doing all these crazy fun things. And like, she was awesome. And then, everybody thought like you had to have some underlying condition for it to be considered that big a deal, really. And that's not true. It can happen to anyone if it could happen to her. And we also really wanted to get that message out. It's like the complacency some people feel is not based in reality. And it's really important that people know. I mean, she literally was fine. She was like in better health than she'd been in ages. Like, she was just like on top of her game and young and happy and whatever.
She was very vibrant and had a very kind of young energy around her. And she was a healthy woman, and it just, took over. And that's why it was very important for all of us to get the word out there of how dangerous and serious this virus is. And it doesn't matter who you are and how old you are and how young or healthy not. It really just, takes over sometimes. And unfortunately, it just,
And it damaged her lungs so badly. I guess in retrospect, they said there was this particularly violent strain in North Carolina where she and Nene were at the time. And her lungs got so damaged from the beginning even that when we got later scans, they were like, she must have had some trouble breathing before or anything. No, they were like, we kept asking.
Yeah, her lungs were so damaged just from the virus itself. They were convinced in the beginning that she had, some underlying disease or she was a smoker, and nothing like that. She was healthy as could be. And that's how serious this is. She actually was testing negative by the end. She was about to get out of the hospital after a couple weeks. And had finally tested negative on the Wednesday. And then like by Friday, things like turned, and essentially it became like a race for her lungs to heal, while machinery kind of supported her breathing while the healing happened. So it was almost like they just didn't heal fast. Her lungs just couldn't heal fast enough because they were so destroyed. So it was excruciating to watch. And, she was in it the whole, until the very end. She fully knew, obviously, what was going on. I mean, she was like watching Instagram lives and like emailing and listening to spa music and like being like, I've got to get out of here and this isn't working. And like, what can we do? Answering business emails and, talking to customers. And then it was just his last, final days, and it just took a turn. And then she ended up at Duke, which I cannot say enough about that hospital.
They were so amazing.
Wow. They were just so amazing.
She had to be airlifted. And there was like that whole night where we were like, will she make it? And they were like, if she makes it on the helicopter, like, it's going to be great. And I remember like she made it. We were all like, literally the kids were like jumping up and down on the bed and we were celebrating. And then
total roller coaster ride from hour to hour even. And there was that one point where we were like, okay, we can't do hour to hour anymore. We have to like literally take it, but like 3 hours at a time, 3 hours at a time. And every day it was just like, okay, check that off. She made it, check that off. And yeah, it was almost a race for time. And it just, unfortunately, just didn't happen.
And Stefanie, by the way, was down there. You were so amazing. So Stefanie was like in their apartment, nearby, just in case, just to be close, and was there and taking care of the two dogs. And then she went to Duke, and then it was only at the end where we were allowed to travel because of quarantine and all of everything. And they finally said, okay, like, we'll let you guys go say
Yeah,
Goodbye.
that's another thing about the virus is that it keeps your loved ones away from each other. It's not the norm of, oh, this person's sick, let me run to your, bedside. That's another evil part of this virus is that it keeps you away. And,
Yes.
And that was another, factor of just adding on of how terrible this was. So
I have to say, we were talking about mother love and mother loss a little bit. I think what you guys have been through, I just kept thinking of this word, like so traumatic, right? Like it just happened in a short time. And the way you describe it, Stefanie, about her and Zibby, about her being so healthy. And I've seen pictures. I think Stefanie and Susan look so much alike. And there's a certain like smile and just vibrancy. And then to see that happen. And like you said, to not be with your loved ones. So I think in the face of all this sadness and grief, and then the trauma of it, to turn around and create this program at Mount Sinai and get involved with the doctors and the research. I mean, it's pretty amazing what you did. And if you guys crawled in bed for a while and didn't do anything, nobody would fault you at all. So I just wanted to say that. And also really learning about your mom through social media and you guys talking, and Nene too, but your mom, Susan, when I see pictures of you guys together, there's such a resemblance there. You can see like the love and the closeness. So I just wanted to say that kind of hit me.
Yeah, it means a lot to me. If I could be like anybody, it would, to be, compared to her is a great compliment. So thank you.
Yeah, it's an amazing, I'm so sorry. Again, we all are listening to the story of it. I'm sure even to say it again, it gets you, right? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, it's almost like
I can't believe it even happened.
Yeah, it's still sometimes it's hard for my brain to even, recognize
you
it.
posted that beautiful thing yesterday, like on your Instagram. Stefanie's Instagram, she posted this like beautiful note about like how homesick she is for her mom, and just that feeling of like there's and I read it, it literally crashed out to me. I was like, I cannot believe it happened. Like I just sometimes cannot believe it happened, even though we were there for all of it. I don't know, and especially
it's hard to process, and it's one thing to lose Nene, but Nene was 90, and not that she deserved that at all, and that is terrible in its own right. And then just to add my mom in that same circle, it's just like that was not supposed to happen.
And you two were they were so close. Stephanie and her mom were like friends because her mom is super young, and like the two of you were like gabbing away and showing each other shoes. You're like they're like best girlfriends. So.
Anyway. That's hard. Like she was like your person, it sounds like.
Oh yes. Yeah. She was my go-to person and business partner, best friend. And so it's been a lot.
Sorry. We relate to this. Rach and I relate to this.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about this behind the scenes with some of the other Blaze people who have lost their moms and how hard Mother's Day is in particular. And I try not to sort of be indignant on social media, but the other day I was being targeted with so much Mother's Day advertising that I went on Twitter and I was like, it would be so nice if I could just tell every company in the world, my mom is gone, so you could just stop. Father's Day is no picnic either. Just cut it out. So I'm wondering, like your example is setting a great example for a lot of our staff. Like we have a very young videographer who lost her mom. She's in her early 20s. And, it's such a hard thing. How are you guys like taking care of yourselves at this time? Like people used to ask me when my mom was passing, like, what are you doing for self-care? Are you hydrating? Are you whatever? I'm like, it's not about me right now. It's about, my mom and what I can do for her. Mm-hmm. But it's such an ongoing journey, right? Like, what are you guys able to do for self-care at all?
I think walking for me, oddly as that sounds, is such a simple thing to do. Just going on long walks. Like, thank goodness for my dog. She has kept me going, and just being able to be outside and just kind of zone out. Just kind of being kind to myself of if I want to have a day that I don't really do much, and, it is okay, and the next day I will, make up for it and, get twice as much stuff done. But I think just being outside for me as much as possible, and walking and being active and stuff like that is important for me to get through it. And do you have any tips or any?
Well, I feel like,
Because you've been right along with us.
I know, but it's not like it wasn't, I don't want to appropriate this loss. I was there.
But I think you guys have supported each other, right? I mean, I can see that.
The beginning in particular, I mean, that was the other thing when we all got back from Duke, it was just the three of us, and I'm pointing to Kyle because he's sitting over there, but we couldn't see anybody. We couldn't see my kids. We couldn't see our friends and family.
It was
quarantine.
like one extra thing to add that we had to quarantine.
And like get all these COVID tests. And it was just such anyway, but like the three of us, there was a lot of laughter too. I don't want to paint it like we're all sitting crying. There is a lot of crying. But there's still that joyfulness, and there's still laughing at the everyday stuff and the funny things that the dogs do, and going for walks and watching TV, and I think that's the thing with grief, especially as somebody who's watching it.
I think it definitely comes in waves, as as you ladies know, where it's like some days it hits you like a tidal wave and you just have no control, and then 1 minute you're fine and something will trigger you out of the blue and you don't know why. But it is important to laugh. And, my mom and Nene were big on that, and they were always laughing and finding, the joy out of the most small little things. They were always laughing and loving life. So that's, it was important for us to keep that in mind and to honor that.
I get that. That's a lot of the bittersweetness of life. Sometimes my mom's been gone for, I think, 17 or 18 years, but sometimes I am enjoying my life and I have such a good life. I say to myself, I'm so lucky. And then I'll just say, where's my mom? Like, where's she been all these years? And this is this many years later. So it's okay to recognize that. And we were talking about this before. It sounds like your mom was a lot like my mom and Jenna's mom. Like, she would be the first person to be like, you know what? Have a cry, but then get up, go do your thing, take a walk with the dogs, go do your work, do what you have to do.
Exactly.
Wait, on that note of the work, I feel like my mom in my head, we got to blend the ingredients. So I'm blending the dog with the blend. We're just so into it. I'm putting that in and continue. Yeah.
My mom would have said, go have a scotch. Like, my mom was not like a naturally maternal mom in any way. Like, she was sort of like a mom by accident. But I think about her when I see certain things like cardinals. Like, we always thought that a cardinal was the spirit of a departed one. So whenever I hear or see a cardinal, I'm like, hey, Ma. And also, like, this time of year, when the trees are like green lace, when the buds are just coming out on the trees, was like her favorite time of year. So I think of her a lot. Like, do you have like very specific moments that make you think of your mom and of Nene?
All the time. It's almost a double-edged sword in that way. It's it's hard to almost escape them, because there's so many moments that I think back, or just I was very fortunate to spend a lot of time with them, and which is unusual to have that sort of relationship where I was in their life and they're in mine constantly, and knew everything that was going on, and especially forming a business with somebody, even more, you're more involved. But yeah, I do think of that, of like my mom's favorite season is fall, and favorite holiday is Christmas, and she's a big party planner. She, anything to do with food and getting family around and gatherings. And so that's been, it's lovely to think about, but it is at the same time hard to, think that they're not around for that anymore. And so there's a lot of, back and forth with it, for sure.
I would say that you're lucky. I feel like the therapist here, because I talk about this and write about this all the time, but you're really lucky, even though your mom died way too young and you lost Nene too soon, that you did get to spend so much time with her, right? And
yes, I'm very fortunate for all that. That was her time. I mean,
not everyone has that, right?
Yeah, we had a very unique and special relationship, and I'm very fortunate for that.
Yeah. Speaking of my little spatula here, a friend gave it to me. It says "Live, Love, Bake." So, and I'm gonna put this in the oven, by the way, to keep us rolling. I just combined everything. It's going in for 24 minutes at 350, and we're gonna work on the crumb topping, which is amazing, as we discuss as well.
All right, good luck to that cake. Good luck.
Like, Nene's like, oh my God, I love it. Do you guys ever have, like, this is one of my favorite questions to ask bakers, professional bakers, is like, did you ever have a terrible baking fail?
All the time. Baking is very fickle, depending on the weather, depending on your
It's a science, right?
Like if you're using somebody else's oven compared to an oven that you were used to working with, and the temperature might be running hotter or lower. So yeah, and if it happens, if you make a mistake, you start over. But baking is definitely a science, and yeah, it does have a lot of different things to go along with it, of the weather and ovens and the baking pan that you might use compared to another one changes it, and so yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. But
I feel like Nene and I had the exact same oven temperature, because I noticed in the recipe it says bake for 24 minutes, which is pretty specific, and I said 24 minutes, and I took it out, and it was perfect. So
we have not changed anything. Like that is it.
I was like, not 25. No.
That's what Nene said. That's what we did. She knew. So whatever she knew or that we didn't know, we never questioned it, and somehow it always worked out. So.
While the cake is baking, we're going to make the topping, which is the last part, which is really fun to make. And it's more butter. So we're putting in a saucepan, which I have on my stove here. We're just going to melt 1.5 sticks of butter. And then in a bowl, we're going to do 2.5 cups of flour, 1.25 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So that's kind of in Nene's recipe. You're sort of supposed to do that at the end when it's almost out of the oven, but I magically have one that's already out of the oven. So I just wanted to get people moving on that. But
I love how it's a little call out. 1.5 sticks of butter just for the crumb.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I didn't notice that. I had to buy a lot of butter.
I did it one time when we were doing all the nutrition labels. I was trying to figure out, I was like, how is this cake really? Anyway, I blocked it out. It was really bad.
It's all natural, no preservatives.
Right. It's all whole products.
Well, just oddly enough, like the cake is not overly sweet either.
Yeah.
It's a very balance of.
It's not. It's definitely not. I agree.
Oh my God, the chocolate one though.
That's my favorite. Well, I'm a chocolate fan anyway. But
there's a chocolate crumb topping, and then there was chocolate chip in there, and then there was like this time where there was like this little fudge layer. Oh my gosh!
Oh my God, that would be so. Do you do like a marble one also? Do you have like a marble cake?
Yeah, we had different ones that we would roll out, and my mom and I were always brainstorming, and just like we would have so much fun, like coming up with these recipes of just taking the crumb cake and and then just adding to it, and there's endless things that you can do with it. But yeah, we have gingerbread for Christmas, a pumpkin for fall. We had a blueberry one at one time, as you can actually see in the photo back there. What else did we do? We did a marble one, strawberry one for a while.
You ever think about writing a cookbook?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
No, we
not to tell you what to do or anything, but
I had some meetings about that.
I think that'd be good. And I know a podcast that you can maybe get on.
I know.
Right? The podcast?
Nene had a lot of recipes.
That's funny.
Yeah. A lot of recipes that we would probably there's so many that we could make into a book for sure. But and just a lot of like traditional stuff, like the cheesecake and
my God,
really like old school recipes that would be fun to kind of bring back, and kind of have that like old school traditional, like 50s type, desserts and stuff. And that's, that's how Nene always was, like that 50s, like housewife, in her kitchen all day cooking and baking. So.
And did she sort of teach herself? Like, did she?
She came from a long line of bakers and cooks, and her stepdad had a restaurant for a little bit. And and she's Italian. So it just, a lot of stuff came natural, but a lot of stuff was just what she was around. And then it just got passed on to, my mom and Kyle and I, and every Sunday she would be, making these huge meals for everybody, and inviting everybody over, and making, homemade pasta and the sauces and cooking all day.
Oh, nice.
And
Kyle likes to cook,
that's when
right?
we were around, and so she just, she's been doing it since she's been a little girl and just kind of in the kitchen. So.
And their whole family, like Robbie, their cousin Robbie has this amazing restaurant called Viaggio in Wayne, New Jersey, which is like insane. And their other cousin has like 2 restaurants. And
yeah, I know where that is. I grew up in Montclair, so I have driven past it many times. I used to work at the Willowbrook Mall. Sorry, I'm having a Jersey moment. Okay, I'm done.
We
Check
literally
out Robbie's restaurant in Wayne.
We go whenever we have like a night. We drive out. Like I'd rather go to Wayne, New Jersey and go to Viaggio than like Tribeca. Or really anywhere in the city. I'm like, hey.
Yeah, I have to say it is just some of the best food. And there's a few recipes that he's taken from his grandmother and kind of put like a modern spin on it. And it's just really great to see. And, some of the family traditions passed along and stuff like that.
That's really cool. And that's what you're doing with the crumb cake by making all these other recipes too.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Memory alive. So
yeah. I have to say, this is a really fun part where the sort of the crumb topping comes together. It's like magic here.
Yes.
This is the part that I eat. That's the eating part. I mean, I actually I by all the bakers on the show by saying that I also taste all of the batter for the cakes. People don't do that. Like you could get salmonella or whatever, but I have to taste all the things. I was eating like fistfuls of the crumb. Like the crumb is so good, you guys. It's like brown sugar, butter. Right?
This batter is really good.
And the batter is not sweet. I think it's the sour cream. And that's why I don't have a chocolate tooth. I'm like missing an X chromosome. So this cake is like up my alley totally. It's like not chocolate, but it's like that delicious cinnamon brown sugar.
It has that nice balance of, it's a dessert, but it's not overly sweet where you're like, ooh, that one bite and you're like, putting it away.
So that's also the problem with it. It's like
that's a great problem.
You're like, it's just breakfast. It's just breakfast.
We want you to be, can't put it down. Got to eat it all. So
yeah, it's just breakfast all day. Oh my gosh. Well, we have a lot of requests for your cookbook. So we hope that you put together a cookbook. We will help you.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of moms who don't have time to, I was up yesterday early and at 6:30 in the morning, I was baking the crumb cake. And I shouldn't admit this, but I was licking the bowl with my coffee. That was kind of my breakfast. But
good girl.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
But this is the topping. And really, we're getting to the end stages of it. While that's baking, I said I had this other cake that I already made. So this is kind of a fun part where you press on the topping and like magic, it turns into this beautiful crumb cake that we saw earlier that Stefanie was showing us. So I'm just going to do that here.
While you do that, I have to ask a question about this part.
So we'll show you again.
Oh my God.
Into, right?
So good.
Yeah.
So good. So when you guys press down the topping, can I ask you?
Should I take one piece?
Yes.
It's on there because of the lip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Holding it up.
Bring it up.
Look at that.
You can watch me press.
Now it comes in my keyboard.
Yeah.
I have that all the time.
Yep, totally. So I have a question about the topping pressing. I did this yesterday. It's how the topping gets down in the cake, right? But me being me, if I had a bakery, it would be called My Stuff Looks Weird But Tastes Good. And I made a Franken cake. I think I pressed too hard because then cake batter bubbled up through the crumb and I had to hide it with more crumb. Does that ever happen to you or is it just
well, I think because you put the crumb topping on before the cake was cooked.
Maybe.
Cool. Yeah.
The cake is baked first and it's about 95% done.
Okay.
It gets taken out and then the crumbs get added on there and then go back in for about 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
The
Sorry.
crumb already has the hot butter and everything. And there's no eggs obviously in the crumbs. So, which you can just snack on. But,
yeah. I'm pressing down on it right now and trying to kind of even it out. And, it kind of comes out just naturally crumbly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You just kind of work it in there and
obviously my hands are clean. I washed my hands. Wait, so we put this back in the oven for 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, depending on the oven. Yeah, 5 minutes is good. And just to kind of get it to set up and
I'm going to tell you, I can feel the weight of the butter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to put this in for 5 minutes.
Okay, great.
That looks delicious. Okay, so I think my oven is from 19 42 or something. Like it literally is like this old Cadillac. I don't think it heats evenly. So when I did my 24 minutes, as Nene said, my cake was not quite made yet. So guys, if you do what I did and you take the cake out and the top is still squish, you might not want to pat all the crumble onto the squishy cake, because then you make a volcano cake. Although hopefully it will still taste good. I will test it.
I'm sure it's still going to taste good. How could it not? Right?
You know, I made extra crumb to hide all the volcano-y, exploded parts of it.
That was good.
I can't wait to eat this. Are you guys going to eat this together this afternoon, the crumb cake?
As soon as we turn the video off.
Right.
And we'll dive in. It's already cut, ready. We've been staring
It's
at
been hard to sit here with it right there.
Smelling all the butter and sugar and all that.
It does smell really good. It does smell
We'll
really
dive
good.
in shortly.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys, I recommend you all go to Nene's Treats, the website, and also on Goldbelly to order and just, check it out, because it's really amazing. And I feel like you've gotten to know about, Zibby and Stefanie and their family, and Nene and Susan. And that I think that makes a big difference too. I think of Nene now, I said to my kids, this is Nene's crumb cake. They're like, who's Nene? Well, I will tell you. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Very
It's
sweet.
great
She would
to have.
love to hear that. She would love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys still have like a cookbook that you work from, like her special handwritten recipes? I've been thinking about, like, readers sometimes send me their family recipes, but they send them on like index cards and stuff. So when I make cream puffs, they're always like Auntie Eileen's cream puffs or Nene's crumb cake. Like that's all I ever do.
Yes, she has a lot of stuff written down, especially this cheesecake that she used to make. And just again, like whatever she did to this cheesecake that just is like phenomenal. And it's, her little handwriting, and it looks like chicken scratch. Like you can't like make out half of what it is. But somehow, she knew. And so, yeah, but I love that. And that would be something also kind of neat to kind of add into if we ever did a cookbook, like some kind of like, where you see her, stuff and, on one page.
Whole conversation about this.
With my mom, I remember at one point, I think we were there for Thanksgiving.
I met with an agent about it and everything.
Yeah.
I think, the thing with cookbooks is it's so hard when you're not like a celebrity chef or you don't have a huge following or like whatever. Yes. But I don't know. Now we have such maybe now with this story behind it and donating proceeds, and maybe we'll try again.
Yeah. Moms don't have time to bake.
All right.
Moms have time not to eat the crumb. Is like what it is. Hey, how is the business going? Like, do you run a whole crew of people? Is it mostly just you and a handful of people? Like, how does it work? I love female entrepreneurs too, I have to say.
Thank you. Well, before we got with the co-packer in the beginning of March, it was my mom and myself, and sometimes Nene. She would join us too in our commercial kitchen, and we would just bake away. And you're everything for your business. You're buying the ingredients, you're shipping, you're packaging, you're answering customers' questions, and taking care of all that back end stuff. And then the business started to grow, where we were kind of unable to just be doing it all of ourselves, and we were lucky enough to find a co-packer, which is a difficult thing too, because you want to find a co-packer that is your teammate and feels involved in your business, and they're able to take on this project, and they're also able to ship the product for you. That was really important. Looking for a co-packer at the time, and we were lucky enough to find this great co-packer in Texas, and they work right along with us, and they've been absolutely amazing. And so they have the product. And so now I kind of do all the back end stuff of just social media and keeping up with, needing ingredients, what cakes are selling more than others, different flavors, and just kind of keeping up on all that. And she wasn't lucky to find the Texas. I mean, you and your mom went to so many, they were Laverne and Shirley. They tried out so many different factories all over the place. Yes, we did.
Oh my gosh.
We did. So. It was quite a journey in itself to, come across finally the right fit. And, it's like, it's your baby, and, and then you're handing it over to someone And you want to make sure that, this is the right person to do the job, and that we work so closely together. And it's, it's just a way for our business to grow. And, it's still, they do everything to the T of just like if we were making it, and, they work right along with us. And now it just gives me an opportunity to, kind of grow the business on the back end, which is, kind of a whole different avenue of just kind of doing that instead of, kind of spreading yourself into many different areas. So this is kind of the next step to it all.
So we have, oh my gosh, look at that fantastic thing. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Beautiful crumb, as Margaret said. So while that's cooling enough that Rich can cut into it, Margaret wants to know if there's a specific clarifying moment when you just realized we just cannot keep doing this on our own anymore. Like we've just grown too big.
I think that was probably around Christmas time. I mean, the orders were just coming in, and we're so thankful for, people that we always looked at it like, oh my God, people actually want this cake. Like, wow, people are ordering this cake. And it just always like blew our minds that people, wanted this product. And we, it came to a point where, we were on our feet like nonstop, and then still had to package and ship. And yeah, we kind of had that moment where we both looked at each other like, yeah, I think we got to figure out another avenue to keep this business going, but somehow how can we, get it to where it's growing? And there was a time where we were like capping off orders, and because we running out of freezer space, etc. And, orders were still coming in, and, we were like, okay, well, how many orders are we missing out on by, shutting off orders and putting sold out on our website? And it would always bother us, actually. We'd be like, oh my God, people are missing out and they want our cake and they can't get it. And so, yeah, I think it was last Christmas, last Christmas, 2 years ago. And it kind of, was that moment of, okay, wow, yeah, we can't handle anymore. we got to figure out something. So,
I mean, I see even more growth in the future. Mm-hmm. I really do.
Yeah. Volume will go up. Can we see the cake again, please, Rach?
Oh, yeah. Let me put my stuff on.
I think I can hold it just at the right angle where it doesn't fall.
I think I'm gonna try. It's hot, but I'm gonna try to cut a piece, and we can sort of sign off with.
And then this is how it would be arriving again too.
So beautiful.
Yeah. With the little card and all that.
So I made this yesterday. Here's my round. I made a round one because I cannot follow instructions, as you guys know. And I'm going to cut into it.
I've never seen it round before. That's cool.
It looks good. I'm going to cut into it here too. I wish it smelled so good in here.
Either. Yeah, look at all these variations.
I know. Well, the 13 by 9 pan that Rachel's using is actually, the original way to do it. That's how Nene would do it and serve it to her friends and family. And then it just kind of, evolved into the.
Well, I'm a rule follower. So when I read 13 by 9, I make sure I have a 13 by 9 pan.
Now you're good. And because I was like, oh, they're doing it at home, and let's kind of get back to the original. So
my dog just came running in here, you guys. Oh, mine is like all crumb.
This is great.
Yeah.
Great. First of all, the first piece is always the hardest to cut, right?
So good.
Some of my crumb fell off the top.
It's still so hot,
but I was cutting it.
It's so good when it's warm like that. Oh, it's the best.
I'm having a bite.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, this is so fun. I know.
Like this. This is Thank you, Nene.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
So
good.
It's really good. Thank you guys so much.
I can't talk to you guys anymore. I have to go eat this cake.
No, this was so much fun having you on, and we learned so much about you and your families and your stories, and we got to make the cake, and I feel like Nene's smiling down upon us, not to get too hokey, and Susan, and all of our moms. So this was really nice. I don't know if you guys have anything else to say about what you guys have coming up. I just kind of wanted to sign off and talk a little bit what's coming up on the next show we're having in a few weeks. We're having on May 22nd, we're having Louise Miller, the novelist, and we're going to make cream puffs, which I had never made before, and they're really, really good. And they're not that hard to make either. So, so I think, we're just really happy you guys were here, and we loved having you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jenny can't talk.
Enjoy
Jenny
it.
can't speak. But definitely, you guys check out Nene's Treats. Check at nenestreats.com and Goldbelly, and check out all of Zibby's amazing work at zibbyowens.com, and subscribe to everything she has going on. Just don't do Moms Don't Have Time to Lose Weight today. Tomorrow you can go back to it. You should.
Yeah, so
I know eating all this butter is really good for you. Will make you a happier person, and who does not want that? Thank you for sharing Nene with us, and your mom too, and thank you for being here with us today. And
thanks, guys, and happy Mother's Day. We'll be thinking of you next time.
Sweet Mother's Day, thinking of these ladies.
All right, bye everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.